Raila Odinga. I present him to you so that he may make his remarks. Let's welcome him in a manner that he deserves, so that he may formally open this retreat.
Thank you. Azimio. 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 Asante sana, you may be seated. I feel very delighted to talk to our newly elected members of parliament. And I'm equally very happy to see that you've responded to the invitation and to come here in very large numbers. What I've had to see is that cheering spirit of the winners. That is what I want to see your faces. Are you happy? Yes. Are you happy? Yes. Ah, yeah. Then I'm happy. When you guys are happy. This meeting was decided on by the leadership to bring our members together so that they can be able to bond and come out as one unit going into parliament to safeguard the interests of our movement. Last week at when we met outside there at Masai Lodge, it was fairly an impromptu meeting. And as a result of that, you were not able to really show your strength the following day. Our competitors were able to penetrate between your front and divide you. See? Divide and rule. It's a very old, tested tactic in the military. That you divide them so that they become weak and then you can be able to rule them. So if you do not bond and become united, you're going to be ruled throughout the life of this parliament. Yet you have got the numbers, the strength to be able to be the rulers in the house. So let me begin first by congratulating each one of you on your election to lead your people and to make a contribution to the destiny of our country. As I stated during our final rally on the 6th of August at Kasarani, and some of you will remember this, we went to the polls with our country at inflection point. I stated then that either something very good will happen or something terrible would happen. I said we had a choice of the promised land, but the land of bondage was also within sight, and the pharaohs refusing to let our people go. As we gather here, that reality is with us. Since the return of multi-party politics in our country. At the presidential level, it is not possible to tell whether we had elections at all. But even at the lower levels of polls, I believe that a number of our people were rigged out to pave way for an UDA majority, and that during election petitions, this will be proved to have been the case. But I mentioned petitions with some trepidation. First, you have noticed the corruption, the dysfunction, the incompetence, and the capture of the IEBC, the body charged with carrying out elections in our country. Secondly, you have noticed the attitude, the thuggery, the corruption, and the cynicism of the Supreme Court judges. The words that the Chief Justice used against us have never been used in our courts, even in the dark days of single-party rule and state capture of the judiciary. Chief Justice Martha Koome described our case, presented by the country's finest legal minds, as no more than hot air, a wild goose chase, incredible and hearsay evidence, red herring. These were words of the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya. It is my experience that whenever judges resort to on litigants and advocates, it is the result of a disturbed conscience. You have been here before. You have come from a judiciary that invested in threats and humiliation of litigants and advocates so that the country would not question them. That is the Supreme Court we witnessed in the presidential election case. We also have come from a judiciary that invested in intimidation. Today, the Supreme Court is threatening those talking against the judgment in the presidential petition. Supposed to be discussed by anyone. The court registrar has already issued threats on those who have criticized the despicable judgment of the court. In fact, Justice Isaac Lenaola is publicly accused of threatening one of the petitioners, Senator Okia Mtata, with the ruination over his stand on the court judgment. And he told Mtata that he is not an Emormor, which is the king of the Teso. And the Chief Justice has gone out to a funeral in her village and defended the judgment even before she gives out the detailed ruling. Supreme Court is now in politics. And she said that the ruling was inspired by God. I believe it was inspired by the devil. From our history as a country, we know this is an indication of a very disturbed conscience. It is the evidence of a court that sold its soul. The actions of the Chief Justice are clearly sycophantic. She has demeaned the dignity of the office of Chief Justice. In less than a year, she has destroyed what her predecessors achieved in 10 years. As if this is not bad enough, there's clearly a push by the executive to own the judiciary through illegal actions that amount to bribery. That is the reason for the rush to appoint 6 judges and to allocate money to the judiciary. That is the reason for the rush by the executive to allocate specific amount of money to the judiciary. Financial allocation to institutions and state agencies is done by Parliament based on a scrutiny of budget proposals presented by the institutions. In this case, the executive has given itself that role. It is a plain attempt to capture the judiciary through bribery. How else do you say, I'm going to give the judiciary every 3 years, I'm going to increase your budget by 3 billion shillings. How do you know how much the judiciary requires this year, next year, 10 years from now? Not that we oppose the judiciary being given funds, but it should be done through legally channeled institutions and at the request of the judiciary. As I stated throughout the campaign, we believe in the rule of law and democracy. We believe in the autonomy and independence of the judiciary and separation of powers between the 3 arms of government, the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. The presidential election petition should have been a victory for the rule of law and democracy in Kenya and across Africa. Our expectation has been that every Supreme Court petition and each Supreme Court decision strengthen the rule of law and deepen democracy in our country. Today, I have fears about where Congress ruling leaves our election and democracy now and in the future. told, they're saying that, oh, 2017, we did give them a ruling in their favor by dismissing, by nullifying election of our sitting president, and then they refused to run election which had been ordered by the judiciary. We did not refuse. We demanded of the IBC to rectify those mistakes which had led to the nullification of the elections. And they refused to do so. So us participating in the subsequent election would have meant doing the same thing, the same way, expecting different results. That is the reason why we refused to participate. And it was after a lot of soul searching, and the country knows the details. But this is how it starts. We know how it will end and what the cost of it will be. In the 1960s and 70s, it started as a war against specific individuals and communities. By the time it was full bloom, no Kenyan was safe from the state terror. It has started again. You have three urgent tasks that we must not fail in, and on which we must embark on immediately. One, save the judiciary, which is offering itself for state capture. Two, transform and reform the IBC and make it capable of conducting credible elections. Three, to stop the legislature from offering itself for state capture and have it play its oversight role over the government. Parliament must say no to attempts by a rogue executive to intimidate and profile civil servants and security agencies. Parliament must stand up and preserve our multi-party politics, like statements by Deputy President that the DCI has no business going to offices, DCI should wait. The DCI is not going to offices. Agencies that go to offices is EACC, not the DCI. But DCI's role is to carry out investigations of crimes and then hand over this to prosecutorial agencies and then thereafter to the judiciary. That is how the criminal justice system works. I know it from experience. I'm not a lawyer. When the law does, thuggery does. In a government awash with thugs, you must not sit back and watch as political control is being extorted over the judiciary, the prosecution, the civil service, and the police and election management body. This is how dictatorship is born, and we have to respond to what is shaping up with a sense of urgency and alarm. So, both ladies and gentlemen, what am I saying? I'm saying that we have a responsibility as Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya coalition to take charge, because you're the majority party in parliament, and therefore you're not going there as minority, and make use of your majority in parliament to keep this government in that check. And if you do that, you actually are going to be playing the role which the people had elected you to do. What is happening is that you're not government, or you're not out of government, you're not in government. In our current constitutional dispensation, the government has got three arms. There's the executive, there's the judiciary, and there's the legislature. So you're part of government. Each one of those three arms has got a role to play. Parliament, as an institution, meaning both majority and minority, have a role to oversight the executive. And you're not going to be the advantage any more than those who are supposed to be in the ruling party or in the party that controls the executive. You want the same salary, you're getting the same allowances, There's nothing more that the members of parliament from Kenya Kwisha are going to be getting away from what our MPs are going to get. So what do you want to prostitute yourself to go and say, I want to be in government? Which government? The legislature is part of a government. It's another arm of government. And therefore you have a role to play as a legislature. Therefore don't somebody come to tell you, come to government. Which government? Do you want to become a minister in government? Is it going to make you a cabinet minister? That's when you become part of the executive, not part of the government, because the government includes also the legislature. So our members should walk tall and proud that you're a member of parliament. And you have a role to play. Because our people otherwise are going to be fleeced. And the eating is going to start almost immediately. It's going to start almost immediately. So you've got a role to play. And if you play that role, our people are going to respect you people. This is what we want to say. So now when you're here, we want you to leave this place as a united force. We come in as a coalition of parties which are coming together, but we want you people to bond. Because in parliament, you are going to be members of Azimio One Kenya coalition. And then, don't be greedy over positions, because that's where it starts. People will now begin to suspect each other. Oh, I wanted this and that. It can only go to one person at a time. If you don't have it today, you'll have it tomorrow. But be part of the team. I know that members want to be members of this committee, chairman of this committee, majority leader or minority leader, want to be a whip, and want to be this and that. If you don't get it, that is not the end of the world. And let us treat each other with a lot of respect. Don't begin, oh, we are the bigger member of this coalition and so on. Why? Being bigger member of a coalition means that you must make concessions to the others. They always say, if you go and ask the German members of parliament, that in a coalition there in Germany, the smaller parties get more than their fair share, so that the coalition can stick together. It's all over the world. So don't abuse your majority and say we must get this because we are the majority party. Because if that happens, then you remain on your own. So let us agree that we want to bond together and become one in parliament. If you do that, then this coalition will survive, and it will be able to perform its role, and it will also be able to protect those who are not with you in parliament. In parliament. So you are foot soldiers in parliament. You've given me weapons to go and fight on our behalf. If you begin fighting among yourselves, the enemy will overrun you. So you need to foster unity among yourselves and leave this place united until you go out there. If you don't get this, be happy that somebody else has gotten it. And if we do not do it properly, we'll come and again we'll change. We'll change again. This is what I want you people to agree to do. And if you do that, we will be proud of you people. So I therefore want to thank you for attending this meeting today and urge you once again to remain steadfast. Be frank and talk to each other freely as you bond and become one unit of Azimio la Umoja. Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Azimio. 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 Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much. I don't think he deserves that hand clap. Can we do it even better?
man, what are you doing in the dormitory area?